Namo Aditafa. Thanks so much for joining me for our daily practice check-in. Listen, listen, listen. This wonderful sound calls us back to our true home. The first mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by the destruction of life, I vow to cultivate compassion and learn ways to protect the lives of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I'm determined not to kill, not to let others kill, and not to condone any act of killing in the world, in my thinking, or in my way of life. For our Dharma lessons, we're now reading More Than Mindfulness, Widening the Field of Practice by the Monastics of the Thai Forest Sangha. Today we're continuing in a talk by Ajahn Sona called Focused Attention, Panoramic Awareness. This is a general preparation, and it's often missing in the plunge into mindfulness retreats and often Vipassana retreats as well. The Satipatthana is a foundational sutta for many Vipassana courses. There are various schools of Vipassana, but often they're deriving their teachings from the Satipatthana Sutta. Quite often you just show up and are plunged into it all with explicit directions to watch the breath or something like that. Then also to watch the rising and passing of things such as feelings or the breath or the rise and fall of the abdomen. But the pervasive context of this is sometimes not emphasized enough. I've been through many of these kinds of courses myself and spent a lot of time with different teachers of these techniques. I've heard and read a lot about these techniques, and my sense is that we need to have a far-reaching picture of why this is happening. It's like dance lessons, like being taken into the gymnasium or studio when you're 12 years old to be shown how to dance. If you've never been to a dance, this business of moving your feet around in certain unfamiliar ways may not be very coherent to you. It's only when this sense of the dance arises that you understand the details. You understand why you were doing it and why they were instructing you this way. That is a difference between notes and music. This mindfulness is at the service of music. It is not notes. It's not to make you a better scientist or anything like that. Attention is not itself is not the solution to the end of suffering. It's only a tool that is at the service of the ubiquitous truth the Buddha has shown us about how to bring the unsatisfactory qualities of life to an end. Sometimes the story ends there, that things are impermanent. You wish to diminish the negative things. But what about the positive things? Sometimes they get herded in with the negative things as simply impermanent. That misses a huge point. The positive emotional dimension of your life is not to be observed with detachment as something that arises and passes away. It does indeed rise and pass away. Different types of positive emotional experiences rise and pass away, but you are to remain in the field of these positive emotions night and day. In the descriptions of the Arhats, it said that even in their sleep, they do not leave this exemplary emotional state. This is what the Buddha is saying: the mind is absolutely purified of the negative elements. What remains? Just change? No, not change. Positive mental states fluctuate and flow, but are all in the positive dimension. They remain in the positive dimension. You are to remain in that dimension. Sometimes you're joyful, sometimes you're equanimous, sometimes you have a great heart of loving kindness, sometimes you have a great celebration of others' joy, mudita, and so on. You are flowing between different positive emotions. Yes, they all rise and pass away, but you're remaining in that field, and that is the point. That is the goal of this. It is for the end of lamentation, sorrow, and grief. It is for the overcoming of greed, hatred, and delusion. This is the most basic formulation of the teachings of the Buddha. Greed, hatred, and delusion are the problem. Generosity, kindness, and clarity are the solution. You're supposed to be sometimes generous, sometimes... Are you supposed to be sometimes generous, sometimes greedy, sometimes confused, or all the time generous, kind, and clear? You are to remain in that dimension. The mind is cleansed of all negative elements. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be at peace. Namo Adida Phat. Thanks so much for joining me today.